Can everyone hear me? Not lines of WordPress. Alright. So, I figured since I was first, I'd give the most basic overview. And I didn't realize that many people were doing WordPress. I figured a lot of people in the group have their first encounter with WordPress today. So this is like a startup guide. And in some ways compares static development to WordPress. Alright, and a little bit about me first. I grew up in corporate American companies and went from application development through DBA, Unix administration, project manager, consultant here in Brisbane for Accenture, and ended up thinking that corporate life was and then started working for myself. And it's awesome. I know my kids now, I recognize them. Alright. But I have a support perspective to the things I do, so I look very long term, and a lot of the things you'll see some points I make about making things maintainable and easy to update and so on. It's been 6.5 years that I've been doing WordPress, and since I started, I haven't looked back. It's awesome. Alright, so why is WordPress awesome? Short answer, and let me elaborate. So essentially, WordPress is a CMS, it's a content management system. It separates content from the stuff that we do. And so it gives clients an illusion that they can do whatever they want, which is a nice feeling. They want to have it. But it really goes beyond that. So it's got a simple, consistent admin interface. It's got a simple, consistent editor that really looks like Word to a lot of people. And so they can upload images and they can move them left and right and all that stuff. So it's really good. Version 3.6 that just came out is even doing audio, not just video, but audio embedding out of the box. So that's awesome. It's a thing I needed, and I'm all set now. When WordPress is shipped, it's already shipped with a really good theme. So really, somebody who doesn't know anything, if they could just install the latest version of WordPress, they would have a responsive site. They stick a nice banner on it, change the name, change the description, and of course put their own content, and voila, they have a site. Hopefully it's worth something. Alright. The ideas of themes and plugins, they contribute, and you'll see them in the next 2 slides as well, but they contribute to WordPress being really, really fully functional. So basically, what you do is you pick a template or a theme, pick a theme that suits your visual design pretty much, and it's got the functions that you need, and then stick that on, and the rest of it is pretty much customizing and tweaking. And if you do it right, then you have a really good site. And plugins, again, it's like building with blocks, it's like building with Lego sometimes. Contact forms, autoresponders, shopping carts, SEO, social integration, whatever you want, games. And it's always being updated, so it's already compatible with HTML5, it's using the latest jQuery, just got updated in 3.6 again, so it's really good. When you build a site with WordPress, it's easier to make it a good site. Now, development is a lot faster. Like I said, building with blocks, you get the theme for a starting point. So you see where that's pretty much the same, but it gives the advantage that development is not just good, but it's also faster. But WordPress also does many things automatically for you. So if you assign a lot of posts to a tag, WordPress will also create automatically an index page for that tag. So if anybody clicks on that tag when they view a post, they'll get a page with all the posts that are associated with that tag, and the same with categories. So it actually builds a lot of extra pages. Your site is much bigger because WordPress makes it so. And many things, again, are editable online. And so whereas you would employ somebody or maybe do it yourself, you prepare the content and do it just right, and put it on a, wrap it in the template that you're developing and put it online. Nowadays, you can just tell the client to just grab your Word file and stick it there and then upload a couple of images. And so the client can actually participate and make it a little bit faster. Other building blocks I wanted to mention was related post series, pop-ups, comment club, share, like, pin, +1, whatever, social network feeds that extend your website by having your Facebook feed being part of the page, things like that. So it's a lot faster to integrate things. But beyond being better and faster, I think it's the only thing in the world that meets these three criteria all at once, actually. You know the rules of projects. You can have better, cheaper, faster, but only 2 of the 3. Not with WordPress, you can have them all. Did I say I know? So it's cheaper, like all this stuff is free. And what it means to us is really that when a client wants to create a website, they have an idea of how much they want to pay, and we can deliver a really good price. We can deliver a really good site for a price that seems really reasonable, but keeps a lot in our pocket because it's like Legos. And the client can get a lot more. So if they end up paying as much as they wanted to pay, we can give them more for their money. They get a better site. All right. Now, this gets a little bit deeper, and I'll go into the way I do stuff, which is based on, like I said, 6.5 years of experience, and hopefully there'll be something in it for you. The reason I say standardize and specialize is I think there's a wide variety, enormous variety of things that you can choose from, and it's very tempting to change from project to project. So you buy a really good thing for something, and then next project you go, oh, it's different, so different thing. The thing is, getting into somebody else's code is really difficult. It's really difficult. Sometimes you get the feeling like, oh heck, I could have written it from scratch. It would have been faster because it would have been mine. It would have felt right. And so my philosophy is pick something that might take a little bit more effort to customize to the specific design that you have at the moment or specific client requirement you have at the moment. But when you look across all of your projects, when you look at it, like at yourself as a practicing developer, it gives you something that you can build an expertise in. And expertise means that you work faster, which again puts more money in your pocket because you spend fewer hours, you can do more projects. But the other thing is you can go deeper. So with something that you're an expert at, you can actually give your clients things that they wouldn't get otherwise because you just wouldn't have the time to learn, to go deep enough to learn these features, although they're there. So what do I mean by that? So when you choose themes, it's really important to choose good themes. And again, the way to start specializing and saving time is pick the source of the theme. So for instance, if you're looking for a free theme, WordPress.org might have a free theme for you. You know they're all vetted. You know they're all rated. You know that the community sort of gives you support on them and so on. So you know it's a good source. Other sources that I think are pretty good or got recommended are Template Monster and Woo themes, especially if you want to do WooCommerce, which is awesome. And then Woo themes obviously integrates with their own plugin really well, and it's all generally responsive, so that's good. So rely a lot when you select things rely on the community. There's generally some sort of rating, some sort of feedback. You look at the revisions of things. If there's enough revisions but not too many, like they don't update every Monday and Thursday, but every couple of months there's an update, and you can see that it's not just throwing a bunch of new features but also fixing and bringing things in line with WordPress and things like that, then it's a good thing to okay. And consider premium themes if they're worth the money. And sometimes a good premium theme will save you a lot of time, and because it's paid, and generally the quality is going to be better. Personally, and I didn't, well, I sort of put my affiliate link there, but let's see. I have an affiliate link if you want it. My Site My Way, $149 for a developer license for 9 themes. They got shortcodes, they're all responsive. They got all these elements that you can customize through a panel. So they've got skins, like layers of images that get overlaid to create effects and stuff. Really good. So even if the design sort of calls for something else, I try to use them. And because I've been using them for a while, then I've sort of extended them. Like I have things that will integrate them with WooCommerce, and I just grab them from another project and stick them in, and they work. So, which is what I meant by developing the expertise. I no longer have to struggle, basically. Plugins, same thing. If I would draw your attention to the sidebar, you'll see many elements that will help you pick a good plugin and not have to then pull your hair out when something goes wrong. And probably the most important one is whether it works. Up to what version is compatible and whether it works. So if 8 people say it works, but one says it's not, it doesn't, then you might wonder about it. But if 61 people say it works and one says it doesn't, you know what you think about that person and just ignore them, and so you know the plugin works, right? And generally speaking, popular plugins get this sort of rating really quickly. And you can, if you wait 2-3 weeks sometimes, then you get enough of these to decide whether something works or not. And do the same when they get updated. Don't update too quickly, because you get burned. Some of them don't. This guy, I like him, he writes good plugins and knows all about SEO and stuff. Good sources for premium plugins and WPMU Dev. It's a good site for premium plugins. And WooThemes again, whatever they use to extend their stuff. It's good. Another thing is recommendations from popular blogs. When I'm looking for a plugin that I haven't used before, I just go, the thing I want to do with the plugin, WordPress plugin in Google, and usually there's authority blogs that will come up that will have let's say top minification plugins or top shopping cart plugins for WordPress. And sometimes they'll have 10 top ones, 25 top ones. It really doesn't matter. Usually there's a brief review, summary of them, and so you sort of get what's happening. Some of my personal favorites. I'll just point out, when I say Shortcode Widget, I've seen people use something like PHP exec. That to me is a big security hole. I've never put a plugin like this on a WordPress site, and generally speaking, I take them out when somebody else fixes their site. And the Shortcode Widget is a way to run PHP code that you've written elsewhere and sort of stick it in a widget. Okay, in the same way that a shortcode would let you run PHP and stick it in the content. Redirection, and I think an often neglected plugin is a plugin. I get a lot of projects that where the client already has a site, they have an old site, and they don't want to lose the SEO value. And so what I do is I crawl the old site, I crawl the development site, and I use redirection so that when they go live, they lose nothing. So when Google looks for the old pages that obviously had a different name, something.html, Google can now find them because they've been redirected properly, so they don't lose SEO value. So if you really want to do things properly for a client that already has a site, make sure that you redirect all the old pages ahead of time. Just to point out, WordPress SEO by Yoast comes with a really, really good XML sitemap. It's the best one I've seen, and it keeps updating everything and explaining things really well. So it saves you installing another one for that purpose. And it gives excellent control on what goes into that XML sitemap. It gives you excellent control on many, many SEO parameters that other plugins don't necessarily provide. I don't know how many people know about minification, but essentially in WordPress, when you include CSS files or JavaScript files, they're in queue, and so this plugin basically gathers them all up by type and serves one CSS file and it's minified, and serves one JavaScript file and it's minified, and so there's fewer requests to the browser, and this can be really important, especially on mobile phones. And minification has to sort of goes hand in hand with compression. So why am I not listing a caching plugin? It's because compression is really easy to do on your web server, and web servers generally compress things without conflicting with your other plugins. So caching plugins, they tend to make your pages static. And the whole point of many plugins is to make things dynamic. And so caching plugins, they tend to be complicated and they tend to have a lot of conflicts. Right. So things to avoid so you don't look like that guy. Yeah, basically anything in the admin area, don't touch. People get tempted to white label and change the menu. Oh, I'm just making it comfortable for the client. You're not. Just every tutorial video shows the standard WordPress thing. They'll see the video, it'll look the same, change it, they'll get confused. And also you'll get confused because as you move from site to site, you have to remember where you put stuff. And the admin area is generally risky. If you don't remember and you do something in the wrong place, then bad service. Just as an example, one of my clients really wanted CK edit. She had a crush on it. And the thing is, CK edit changed those two lines of icons that you use to control things inside the editor. But some plugins extend these. So some plugins queue additional icons in these two rows. And I think in this case, I think it was WooCommerce. So she had a CK edit that was conflicting. You couldn't enter product, you couldn't add the shortcode for products into the page because basically you couldn't see the icon to do it was going. So not a good idea. Now, if you're developing websites, you're going to have your own way of doing things, but I find that WordPress involves PHP, HTML, CSS, so the backend, frontend, all that stuff, all these syntaxes and so on. So Notepad++, starting in the middle, is going to highlight the syntax on all of them and actually, okay, yeah, oh, that's done well. Or was that 10 seconds? Okay, so Notepad++ will highlight syntax, and it really helps me sometimes find errors. So basically, things start looking weird from a certain point onwards, and you just go back to where it's showing it's weird and you fix it. And everything changes. But it also has a file comparison plugin, which I use a lot, and it has the ability to search whole directory trees for something, and you can search just PHP, just JS, things like that. And so it's really easy because a lot of the work of WordPress is getting into other people's code. So somebody gets you to fix something that somebody else has done, or you get a premium theme and you want to know how to unhook something and hook something instead, but you don't know what it's called or where it is and what it affects and so on. So it's really easy to grab a string, stick it in a search box, and Notepad++ will find it. FileZilla saved me a lot of times because I work with a graphic designer who ventures into programming land sometimes, but he typically ventures into style.css without telling me. And so it's really good that I have my copy, because he edits online. And then he goes, oh, right, but I didn't know you updated stuff, so this is looking weird now. And so I download his version separately and do the file compare, and I get all this. Okay, and KeePass. If you work with a lot of sites, obviously each one of them is going to have a WordPress login. And so, especially if you secure them properly, you're going to have monstrous passwords to remember. So KeePass really helps. Now, going back to my history, involved a lot of maintenance of code and fixing things that other people have broken. And so I'm thinking, if anything, you think, oh yeah, I'll just cobble this together and it'll hold. You know, looks good now, and it's going to get broken because WordPress is very, very dynamic. It gets updated all the time, and even if you think, you know, oh, that's all right, because the theme is good and I bought it somewhere, and you know, it's a good source and all that stuff. Yes, but now version 3.6 came along and it uses the audio shortcode, which just happens to also be used on, you know, Jetpack, but it could have been used in your theme, and so now your theme breaks because there's a conflict, and you know, you get all kinds of shortcodes being displayed on your pages and all that stuff. So there's always the chance that something will be updated. So always stick to the assumption that it might be. So WordPress can be updated, your plugins can be updated, your parent themes can be updated, or themes can be updated. So always create. So you know, my notes, they're at the right place. Sorry about that. So basically, always use the child theme, and always do things what I call the WordPress way. So WordPress gives you ways to stop things from happening and then add them in a different place or add new things. It really helps you customize things through a file called functions.php. And so basically you should be working ideally in functions.php and style.css. And if you're working on anything else, then there's a chance that you might have to redo. All right, so that covers the hooks. Hooks are basically actions and filters. How many people know what these are? I've used them before. Okay, so it's good to mention. So essentially hooks and filters. So basically filter is a function where you get the so far, what WordPress has prepared so far, and you do something with it, and then you return it back to the calling function, maybe in a different form. So you can have conditions, and you can blow the whole thing away and return an empty string or whatever you want. And actions are things that you do. So you can write to the Spring, or you can update the database table. You can do whatever you want, but it doesn't return something to be displayed, but it's an action that gets taken. One particular action I want to mention is the init action. So this may not make too much sense to you now, but if ever you get to a point where you say, oh, but in functions.php I've got this function and it's doing what I want it to do, and I've hooked it properly, but it's still not working, then what you probably need to do is have a child initialization function and hook that as an action to init, so that it executes last. And then your overrides will be the last thing to execute, and you win. Okay? So your changes will stay. And if you can't possibly do it with PHP, try to do it gently by something that executes after the page loads. So just gently go and change an element to whatever you want it to look like. But don't go hacking. That's what I'm saying. Don't go hacking. Don't change the source. So always apply your changes later. I will keep you up to date. Alright, so beyond a single site, as you get busy, people will ask you to host their sites, and you might have to make a decision about this. So this is an option that WordPress provides, is the ability to host multiple domains in one installation. Clear advantage is you have one thing to maintain, one thing to back up. You can centrally control things, but you have a hierarchy of the super admin to just plain site admins. But it can get complicated, and sometimes if your hosting becomes a nightmare like Crucial recently became, then they sort of stick you in a little box that you can't outgrow, and so it can become a little bit of a problem. So the direction I've taken is everybody gets their own account, everybody gets their own installation of WordPress, and I put up an admin center. And there's a client plugin that gets installed in each one of these sites. It's essentially a backdoor, but it's encrypted, it's secure, it's all that stuff. Right? Okay. And I talk to it through the admin center, and it keeps up with updates to WordPress and any plugin that's installed anywhere, anything that's installed anywhere. And the thing is, it also has, so it's distributed, it's scalable, and everybody's comfortable. But the main thing is, multi-sites are not as well tested. They're very good, very heavily used installations, but the code is not as well tested as plain WordPress sites, and they're not as complicated. They're more complicated than plain WordPress sites. Okay, so I've chosen this. Tip from experience: when I see a wave of updates coming through. And generally, the company is an update to WordPress itself. So I'll see 2 weeks of a spike in plugin updates, and I'll wait. Then the WordPress update will come through, and I'll wait. And then 2, 3, 4 weeks of plugin updates, and I'll wait. And then I'll go through all the plugins, and I'll go, okay, works. Remember that thing? Works. Okay, if this still doesn't work, I might wait on this one. I'll update all of them, so I'll do the plugin updates to be ready for WordPress, and then the WordPress update, and then generally it stands. But Infinite WP has the ability to create a full backup. To create a full backup of the installation, which I generally do when something is going to change the database, and it's not easily recoverable. It can back up to cloud storage, it can clone sites, so if you want to go from development to production in one go, then you just install the client plugin, attach it to the admin center, development, and then throw it into with the cPanel details of production, and you're done. Right. Questions? Not ready.
We've got 1 minute or so.
It's usually a sign that it's really clear. Or really confusing. Or too much digest.
What are your thoughts on the new Woo on those pricings?
Sorry?
What are your thoughts on the new Woo themed pricing schedule?
Pricing schedule.
They've just announced a new pricing where it's annual now as opposed
Oh,
to...
yeah, I saw that. And they try to say it's good for us.
Yes, totally not.
Yeah. No, look, honestly, I don't buy from them personally. When I did my research, really my site, my way was the best way for me to go, and I've specialized in using it. And it was a one-time live support.
Do they supply WooCommerce plugins though? That's all the WooCommerce plugins are now on there.
Yeah, they don't have lifetime support. Yeah, so, but you know, it's the way of the world. You lure and then then you got. Yeah, it's unfair, but maybe they didn't make money. And it's better to keep them in business somehow and keep them producing good software than giving up on them altogether and calling them bastards and letting them close down. WooCommerce is still free.
It's a quick one.
Oh, just wondering if you had any favourite WordPress blogs you recommend?
WordPress blogs.
Well, blogs that feature WordPress updates, like which blogs would you turn to get updated?
On WordPress itself.
Yeah. Not WordPress blogs, but blogs about WordPress.
I'm not an avid blog reader, really, which is why I really like the WordPress Meetup group. I forgot to mention this, but the WordPress Meetup group, if you're not in it, is really awesome. Bronson is going to come up after me, and he's really knowledgeable and generous with sharing this sort of information and generally up to speed. So when we have meetups regularly, we're always aware of what's going on because it keeps us up there. And it's good because we can ask him questions and explain stuff. One more?
We might have to leave it there, and if we've got time.
Generally speaking, I don't go to the pub, but today I will. Just come along. Yeah, initially there was a Twitter thing, but I don't use it much. So